It's not that this movie is bad, it's more so the fact that this movie just doesn't feel like a Mission Impossible movie. Every single installment in the series has a very unique feeling. Every movie has a moment where you feel like, holy moly, that was crazy, from when they reveal their faces, to the bad guys in the first one, to whether it was Henry Cavill. Every single movie had that moment where it was like, yep, this is a Mission Impossible movie. But this one just didn't really have that moment. The movie almost felt like there was this rush to get through a checklist to make sure they got everything they need to do before the series ended, rather than give us the normal equation of what we're used to when it comes to a Mission Impossible movie. And one thing I can't help but feel about this movie is that there just isn't a plot. It just feels like you're going from set piece to set piece, or you're just really just going after MacGuffin after MacGuffin. It didn't really feel like a conjoined story. And I'm not even really sure what that first 45 minutes was supposed to be. It was this combination of weird clips, throwbacks, weird conversations, expositions, just to not feel like it belonged in a Mission Impossible movie. But once Tom Cruise finally got on that aircraft carrier and the movie really picked up and got to where it was supposed to be, I couldn't help but feel it was an amazing movie. But that first 45 minutes, it's just extremely rough. One thing about Tom Cruise and the movies that he's in, the movies that he produces, is that just knowing he's involved, knowing he's on screen, makes you buy into the whole narrative, to the whole universe, to the story so much more, because you know how much effort, how much passion, how much care is there. And that's enough to at least make you care, to at least get your attention and see what he's put forward. It just so happens that this time he did not put forward his best work. There's no doubt about it. This could arguably be the worst movie in the series, but again, it's all relative, right? A bad Mission Impossible movie is still a pretty good movie overall. But what kept this movie from going into top, echelon of these movies was that they're just, again, that first 45 minutes, it's terrible. And there just wasn't a coherent plot across the movie. There was just something missing, and then that element of, again, just, whoa, this is a Mission Impossible movie. It felt like in this movie that much of what Tom Cruise didn't really have any repercussions, especially physically. And I know we've seen it in movies and series like Fast and the Furious, where as it just goes on, we kind of abandon just the laws of physics, and we accept that to a certain extent, a certain threshold. There were a few moments in this movie where I was like, okay, no, that's not happening. Drink your water. Do it. Which leads me right into the submarine sequence, and it was absolutely amazing. Super suspenseful. You were absolutely on the edge of your seat wondering what was going to happen, and they did a great job there. That's really where the movie started to really get to be a Mission Impossible movie. This scene was extremely long, and for the most part they nailed it. I only felt like there was a few bits that they probably could have removed and kind of sped up the process. This movie was a little bit too long. I'm good. Hit that sub button and turn notifications. There's no doubt there's way too much exposition in this movie, and I know they're making this movie for the person that hasn't seen the previous 7, but the reality is, why are you watching the last movie if you haven't seen any of the previous 7? And I feel like as an artist, just like any musician or a game designer, you have to think about who you're making your art for. Is it for the people that haven't seen your product or haven't seen your art and that you want to bring them in? Or do you want to stay loyal to the people that have been there from the beginning, and it's kind of that threshold you have to stay in? You see that in video gaming more than anywhere else. You think about, okay, I want to make the people that have been playing this game happy because they're our core audience, but we want new players. We want to keep bringing in people. We need newbies, but when you try and tailor the game to the new people, make it easier, you piss off the people that have been playing it from the beginning who had to work hard to get good. Does that make sense? I haven't watched 7 Mission Impossible movies to sit here in the 8th movie and just show me what I watched in those 7 previous movies 4 different times. They must have shown the clip of that dude dying in the elevator shaft from the first movie 3 or 4 times, and it's just like, dude, it's a 3-hour movie. That's the area you can cut. Snip, 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 my boy. Haley Atwell in this movie brings her talent in many more ways than one, if you know what I mean. But what really kind of surprised me was that they didn't really act on the love interest between her and Ethan Hunt, Tom Cruise. It felt like it was there and like they were going to explore it, but then maybe it's a little bit too soon because this is only a couple months after the last movie where his love interest just died, so it really wouldn't make sense. But there was still that element, and I kind of felt like it either was like a stone unturned, or they just may have abandoned it, or it was just supposed to be a tease. But again, I don't want to act like this movie's terrible. If you get through that first 45 minutes and just get to the core of the movie, it really is extremely entertaining. And as I said before, that element of it having Tom Cruise, that's not a joke. Just seeing him on screen, you know what has gone into this project, so you're into it. I'm gonna keep coming back to the fact that this movie was just missing that one element that made it feel like a Mission Impossible movie, that one I gotcha moment. And if it would have had that with a little bit better editing in that first 45 minutes, I think we would have had a great movie on our hands. But it was all right. It was good. Don't fall for all the people throwing it's terrible, it's horrible, it was a mistake. No, it's not a mistake. This man is 60 years old. Yes, he did sprint for literally 10 minutes of runtime. I do also think that they're leaning too much into that meme, but this movie is genuinely good. It's all right. It's good. Not as good as I was hoping. And I have to say, this is not Tom Cruise's last Mission Impossible movie. There's no chance. The way this movie ended, there was absolutely zero closure. And if you think about the fact that this was actually supposed to be part 2 of a 2-part series and then they changed it, that just tells us that they're going to do a part 2 of Final Reckoning in probably like 5 or 6 years when he's a little bit older and maybe in more of a leadership role, maybe being less in the field, but still being able to wrap up and possibly die for us. But again, there's just no way this is the last movie. If you read between the lines with the movie titles, they're going to drop a part 2 to this. It'll still stay true to it being the last installment of Mission Impossible from the message, the greeting he gave at the beginning. And this series will be all the better for it because you can't end on this note. You can't end this series on this note because that was just not good enough. You have to give us one last like, oh my gosh. Now it seems like a lot of people are complaining about the rabbit's foot retcon from Mission Impossible 3, and I can't help but think that was actually kind of genius. Oh no, it had a biochemical hazard sticker on it. It must have been that. Oh yeah, you're right. So the most deceitful, villainous, evil people in the world are just going to be honest with what's in there. Obviously they might lie about it. And it fits the narrative they're going for. They're trying to create a world where Tom Cruise feels extremely guilty for what he's done. They're trying to paint this picture that everything that's come to fruition is his fault. Griggs, or whoever that cop dude was, being the son of the main bad guy from the first movie, that was really cool. And I felt like they could have explored that a little bit more. But again, the movie was already 3 hours and you just can't do that when the movie has 45 exposition dumps. And I imagine that must have been a major conversation they were having in the editing room. Like, how much do we have to keep explaining to our audience, right? Like, how much of our audience understands what's happening? I just wish they would have leaned more into the, hey, watch the other movies before you come to this, because it's the freaking finale. We need every minute we can given towards either action or just building towards the climax. And it felt like so much of the movie was just held back and held down by just, wait, let's talk about it and then let's move forward. I would probably honestly give this a 6.5 out of 10. I know that sounds kind of harsh, but at the same time, that first 45 minutes combined with the fact that it just doesn't have that standout moment, standout scene, gotcha moment. I don't really see myself watching this for quite a while. And these Mission Impossible movies, all of them from 1 to 7, they're all rewatchable. They're all movies I've wanted to watch numerous times. They're not quite comfort movies, but at the same time, they're all so good that I'll literally watch any of them at any time. But this one, just knowing for what they were going for and how long it is and how much of like you have to put forward of your day just to get through it, I just can't see myself giving 3 hours ever again to this movie. But those are just my thoughts. Again, it's not a bad movie. It's not a great movie. It's not a really good movie. It's somewhere in between. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. Do you think they should make another one? Do you think they're going to make another one? How do you think Tom Cruise did in this movie? And as always, hit that comment button, like button, sub button, whatever. I'm just trying to buy you time to let you pick one of the videos on the screen. I appreciate you guys. As always, go out there and do something great.